Sorry if you're hearing so many external elements in this video. The AC is on, the wind is howling outside, my dog is barking. There are so many natural phenomenons occurring that I cannot stop. And I guess it's gonna be part of the experience for you watching this video, and it will always be if you continue watching my videos. So, welcome to the channel. Happy New Year. Hello everyone, it's Fifi and welcome to the channel. If you're new here, thank you so much for clicking on this video, and if you're back, thank you so much for being here again. I'm so grateful for you as always. Right now, today, I'm feeling so grateful. I'm feeling things. It's the end of the year. It's always like that for well, maybe not for everybody, but for most people, we're feeling really grateful. We're feeling really nostalgic. We're feeling a lot of things because it's the end of the year. 2021 is finally concluding itself. So many things happened. A lot of things happened for me personally this year, which I am very, very grateful for. I know not a lot of people experienced the best 2020 and 2021, but I am still grateful for many, many things, mostly because of this channel and because of this book journey that I've been for the past year. And I would just like to thank every single person who is watching this video right now, and every single person who has ever watched my videos for the past months, days, weeks, years even. I've been uploading on YouTube since I was in college, and I've never uploaded this consistently ever in my life, but I am so grateful for the small community that has been reaching out to me on Instagram, here on YouTube, on Goodreads especially, and I just want to say thank you. First of all, I'm starting this video really weepy because I just want to say thank you. Like, I woke up today feeling super grateful. I just wanted to say that right off the bat before I forget anything, because I'm really chatty. You know this. We had a good year. We had a lot of books, and I am looking forward to more TBRs in 2022. And to address the elephant in a room, I did make some choices. I made some choices for the year end. This is it. This is it. We are officially in the Fifi redhead phase. I don't know if I'm going to regret this when I look back 20 years from now, but I'm feeling my oats. So okay, so let's just get on with the books because that's what you're here for. This was quite a tricky situation because my criteria for a good book is always the impact it leaves on me, and if I think about this book days, weeks, months after I read it. What I do when I like segregate if it's like a good book, a really good book, an okay book, is if I thought about that book for days on end, if I am still thinking about it today, if I still remember the plot, if I still remember in my heart how it made me feel back in January, that it constitutes as a really great book. So not all of the books I will mention will be necessarily 5 stars. Most of the books, actually, I didn't rate 5 stars, but they did give me an impact. Like, objectively they're not a 5. Subjectively though, they have punched me in the gut, severed my brain, cuddled me to sleep. So as of December 30, I'm filming this December 30, 2021, I read a total of 57 books this year. Thank you very much. Out of 57 books, I tried to do a top 10, but I couldn't. So I have a top 12. That's all I could do. But I do want to mention, before I mention the 12, I do want to mention 6 books that, you know, they're kind of like a shout out, because these are the books that I think are objectively 5 stars for me, that I did rate 5 stars on Goodreads, but subjectively they were not as impactful to my heart and brain and soul as they probably would have been to other people. Here are my top 6 shout out books of 2021. Firstly, I'd like to give a shout out to the graphic novel of the year, Lore of Olympus. This is a webtoon that I read on Webtoon. If you don't know the app Webtoon, go on it. There are so many webtoons on there that are amazing, but this is a story or a retelling or a modern spin-off of the love story of Hades and Persephone and the gods of Olympus. So this is amazing. The graphics are wonderful. Next, of course, we have the crowd favorite, The House in the Cerulean Sea by TJ Klune. This is a magical fantasy about a man named Linus who is summoned to this orphanage to kind of check whether the children in that orphanage are highly dangerous species, but he encounters a bunch of wonderful magical children. Also, the guardian of the children, Arthur Parnassus, might also have snagged his soul. So this is a beautiful, beautiful tale of family love. And then we have, of course, the classic The Song of Achilles by Madeline Miller. This is an old crowd favorite. This is sort of an in-depth retelling of Achilles and Patroclus' story because we didn't really get a lot of them in the Odyssey. We really just, you know, assumed things for them. The Trojan War, everything, gods and goddesses, Greek mythology. If you are into Greek mythology, pick this up. If you haven't yet, I was probably late to the party with this, but yeah, one of the best reads this year. I cried like a baby. I did a reading vlog on this too. Check it out if you want to check it out. One of the first books I read, actually the first new book I read in 2021, because I started 2021 rereading Harry Potter, but this is the first book I read that was new and not a reread. So that was The Seven Husbands of Evelyn, Hugo by TJR, the infamous TJR, who always delivers. So this is basically a historical fiction about Evelyn Hugo, who is a Hollywood A-list elite, and her life surrounding the drama behind the 7 husbands that she's had, and about an aspiring kind of columnist, Hollywood columnist, Monique, who kind of discovers and interviews Evelyn and tries to get the story, the expose behind her long-lived Hollywood life. So it's very dramatic, very scandalous. Definitely something you should pick up when you're in a reading slump, because you will not be able to put this down. The drama, the thrill is there, the pacing, the adrenaline is definitely here. So if you are not yet into reading and would like to get into it, this is always a book that I would recommend. Last in my shout outs is the famous TikTok book this year, and that is The Atlas 6 by Olivie Blake, which is a self-published book before, but is now going to be published like officially with a publishing house next year. I think is the release of The Atlas 6, the official version, but this was given to me by my beautiful friend Julia Delgado, who also has a channel here. She bought the self-published one, so this is actually one of my favorite like physical books that I own, because the cover, first of all, the cover is gorgeous, and second of all, the paper is thick, and just the feel of holding the book is really nice. But most of all, it has illustrations of the characters of the book. So the Atlas 6 is essentially, it surrounds the whole concept of the Great Library of Alexandria burning down, but actually did not burn down because a bunch of really smart people are protecting it to protect the knowledge. It's kind of an elitist take in knowledge. It tackles a lot about, again, elitism, classism. Basically, these 6 people are kind of competing to get into this society that's taking care of the Great Library, that's taking care of all this hidden knowledge from the world. So they're all a bunch of magic, like they have magical abilities. And what I really loved about this is it was so complex. Like a lot of people, I see a lot of reviews about the Atlas 6 that say it's really complex, and sometimes it can be a bit convoluted and superfluous, but I don't know. I have a tiny brain, so when I read about big brain stuff, I don't even like try to verify if the big brain is really big brained. But I loved kind of feeling dumb but smart at the same time. I kind of loved guessing and being wrong about what the plot like where the plot would go. The only teeny tiny critique about this that I had was the ending, because it was a bit, teeny tiny bit predictable, maybe a lot whole predictable, but I still love the experience. It's actually the reading experience for me. The illustrations, the characters that are so gray, like morally gray. If you love morally gray characters, yeah, let's take spell will be like. Okay, we have done our shout outs. We've been sitting here too long. You have been waiting for my top 12 books of 2021, and we're diving in. And first up is The Convenience Store Woman by Sayaka Murata. Holy moly, was this a journey? Was this a ride? It is so short, so thin, which is about a girl named Keiko who has never fitted in society because she works in a convenience store her whole life. She has no ambition to like climb up a social ladder or work in corporate, or, you know, she doesn't have any more ambitions other than working in a convenience store, and it genuinely makes her happy. She is genuinely enjoying her time in the convenience store. It is just a social commentary on ableism, on Japanese culture, on life itself, and our perspective in normalcy. And I really loved this kind of slightly satirical contemporary fictional book. I don't really love contemporary, as you will notice by the reads that I have, but I really enjoy this. Sayaka Murata is so weird, which makes her so amazing. So I am so excited to read more of her books. We'll be reading more Sayaka Murata next year for sure. Then we have The Kiss Quotient by Helen Hoang, and this is now a trilogy. Like, The Kiss Quotient has 2 more books, The Bride Test and The Heart Principle, which came out this year, one of the most anticipated books this year. But guys, this has to be my favorite. This was everybody's favorite 2 years ago. When was this published? I don't even remember. But when I read this year, like, at first I was taken aback by the smut. Like, it was very descriptive. This is one of the first smutty books I've read physically. Like, I read smut, but I read it on my phone, like on Wattpad, on Tumblr, always digital, but I've never had something so tangibly smutty in my hands. I was really taken aback at first. Like, I remember one of my friends, Lara, shout out to you, Lara, who recommended this to me, was like, oh, it's kind of soft porn, so beware. It talks about a woman who is dealing with Asperger's syndrome, or is within the autism spectrum. Stella, she's one of my favorite characters. So her story kind of revolves around her wanting to know how to date around, or wanting to know how to sleep with a guy, because she feels like she's the problem. Like, she can't get a guy because she doesn't know how to have sex or be in a relationship. So she hires this escort named Michael, and you can guess what happened. I mean, it's right there on the cover. So love this book. I've reread it 3 times this year. Not lying, no joke, maybe more than 3. So it's a comfort read, definitely. Okay, we have the only classic. I read Alice in Wonderland by Lewis Carroll, and wow, nobody told me how funny Alice is. I mean, in the movie, like the Disney movie, it was fun. We love Alice in Wonderland, the movie, but the book, Alice is way funnier in the book, because we kind of read her inner monologue. We just experience the child that is walking through Wonderland. And I was just laughing the whole time. Honestly, swear to God, one of the funniest books I've ever read in my life. And one of my favorite books ever now. Oh my God, okay. Okay, next book we have, really the books that I could not stop talking about to my friends. And I feel like I overhyped it too much to a couple of people, because it's really not that complicated of a story. It's super cliche, but it has a chokehold on me. I don't know what it is, but it just does, and that's The Unhoneymooners by Christina Lauren. When we talk about enemies to lovers books, this is probably one of the poster titles you will hear from book talkers, from TikTokers, from Bookstagram. This is always in the enemies to lovers recommendations. This is about Olive. By the way, a lot of characters in romance novels, like recent romance novels are named Olive. Like, I have two Olives here. And Ethan, who absolutely freaking hate each other, but their siblings are getting married. So Ethan's brother is marrying Olive's twin sister. And when their two siblings were gonna get married, everybody in the whole reception caught food poisoning except for the two of them. So now their siblings have a whole honeymoon package that is supposed to be canceled. But then Olive's twin was like, I can't cancel this. That's a lot of money. You have to go to the honeymoon vacation with Ethan because he's the only person who is not food poisoned with the rest of us. Long story short, two enemies go on a honeymoon vacation together. Things happen. Things spice up, and there's that. I think aside from the whole romance plot, what really got me to this book is the whole family element. Olive and her twin, what's Amy? They're from kind of a Hispanic family. Their concept of family is really strong. When things were going down the rabbit hole, family plot arc was very much alive. Also, I love main characters who are finding themselves. Like, I'm in that phase in my life where I'm also looking for myself. So when I encounter characters who are also in the same pickle, I resonate a lot, and I love the lessons I get from these types of books. So even if it's absolutely cliche, that's what I love, that's what I look for, because that's the kind of positivity I need in my life, honestly, right now. The next two books are probably like in my top 3. Like, if I had to have a top 3, this would be in my top 3. And that is Smaller and Smaller Circles by F.H. Batacan. I am obsessed with Smaller and Smaller Circles. I posted a video reacting to the video of Smaller and Smaller Circles. I have a page versus film video. This is a murder mystery about two Jesuit priests who try to solve a whole serial killing murder situation that's happening in the Philippines. Not a lot of Asians believe in serial killing, mostly because a lot of us, including me, before reading this book, thought that it was a really Western concept. So a lot of the serial killing stories we hear are from the West, mostly from America. Because of our third world situation in the Philippines, a lot of study, a lot of opinions surround us not really believing that Filipinos are capable of serial killing because there's so many more problems to handle. There's so many, like, there are murders going on here. Like, we have the war on drugs, we have a lot of schemes going on here, but never really has it occurred to us that serial killing was a thing. This opened my eyes to a lot of possibilities, especially with the ongoings in the Philippine justice system, a lot of injustices, a lot of corruption, a lot of nepotism. It's just a really great crime novel. Our two main characters are Jesuit priests from Ateneo. They're called Father Gus and Father Jerome. They're probably two of my favorite characters of all time. Like, they are in that, like, if I had to have a list, they are on that list. So smart, so capable, so religious. Like, I'm a Catholic, so there was a meshing of interests, the intermingling of science and faith here. It was just wonderfully done, wonderfully executed. Another murder mystery that really choked me, and it took me actually 3 months to go through this book because I don't know, it's just so profound, so detailed, so many things are going on, so many characters as well. The Shadow of the Wind by Carlos Ruiz Zafon. This is a historical gothic fiction about a boy, Julian, who discovers this place called the Cemetery of Forgotten Books. It's basically like a library of books that have been untouched, have been forgotten by people. He finds a book called The Shadow of the Wind by Julian Carax. Sorry, the main character's name is Daniel. I said Julian, it's Daniel. But the author of the book that he finds is named Julian Carax. So when he reads the book that he gets from that library, he absolutely loves it and decides to look for more works of the author. But then as he searches, he finds out all of the books that the author has ever published were destroyed and burned, and nobody knows who has done it. That is the only plot I can tell you because there's so many intersecting plots going on, but that is essentially like the main plot. It's set in Barcelona, which is one of my favorite cities in the world, so I guess I also have that kind of attachment. But this book just did a lot of things. Like, it delivered in so many ways, and the ending, the plot twist, I cannot talk about this book enough. It's one of my favorite books of all time. I was gonna say it might be my favorite book of all time, but I was looking at smaller and smaller circles and it was kind of daring me to say it, and I couldn't, so.
Hello, editing Fifi. I just realized I completely forgot to film one book, and it's because I don't have the physical copy, which is why I forgot to totally mention it. But I wanted to mention Sweet Filthy Boy by Christina. Oh my god, this is a really old book about a girl who just graduated college. They were on vacation. She was on vacation with her friends celebrating their graduation, and she met this French guy in a hotel. They were celebrating and stuff, and they kind of got into a one-night stand situation, but then the next day she hops on a plane with him to France to live with him in France for the summer. And I know this is like crazy for me to like love as much as I do. It's so smutty, it's so like really sexy, but I love this book. Like, I super duper love Sweet Filthy Boy. I remember when I read this after Shadow of the Wind, I was in kind of a reading slump because Shadow of the Wind took me so long to finish, so I wanted to read something really light, and this was just a comfort, guilty pleasure read. So I'm gonna put it in my best books of 2021 because it really cuddled me to sleep. It was just, I was so happy. None of it is possible, but
okay, this one, I was kind of surprised that I loved it as much as I do because I'm not really an enemies to lovers person, contrary to popular belief. I'm more of a fake dating trope girl. But the book Today, Tonight, Tomorrow by Rachel Lynn Solomon, I don't know what this book did to me. Like, honestly, okay, at first, wait, let me tell you what it's about first. Neil and Rowan, who have been high school enemies for as long as they can remember, well, for as long as they were in high school, they have been vying for the position of valedictorian on their graduation day. So every day in high school, they have been competing against each other academically. I'm into the whole academic rivals thing, so I guess this is why I love this book, but it's a high school romance, so I'm not really into high school romances anymore. But this one, honestly, when I read it at first and I finished it, I was like, oh my god, this is really good, and I really liked it, but I don't think it's like one of my super favorites. However, after a while, I kept thinking about it, like it was in my head, especially the last few chapters where, you know, most of the chunk of the book really happens. I kept going back to it. On my phone, I downloaded it like on an ebook, and I kept highlighting, I kept rereading scenes over and over again, and I was like, why does this book have such a chokehold on me? Like, I don't understand it. The way that Rachel Lynn Solomon, the way she meshed everything together at the end for Rowan and Neil was just so smooth. We knew what would happen, like, don't get me wrong, it's not like it's a really cliche book, so it's not like an unpredictable ending, but still, like, the way it was executed, I don't know, there's something in this book. It's a drug. I've read this twice already this year. The only poetry book I have in this stack, one of my first poetry books ever, and I'm so glad this is in my life because this quite literally changed my life, and that is Blue Iris, the Poems and Essays collection by Mary Oliver. I did kind of a video diary on this, focusing on one poem specifically called Blue Iris. That is my favorite poem of all time, well, right now, because it really came to me at a very important moment in my life. The message was so significant. It was about finding your purpose. The titles are plants, so there's like sunflowers, touch me nots, lilies, like it's about plants. Mary Oliver always has a way of relating nature to the human experience, and that is what makes her poems so easy to understand, I guess, for someone who is not really well versed in poetry yet. Okay, this book is the book I have reread the most this year. I've read this book 4 times already, and I read it in the latter half of the year, which says a lot about how unhinged I am about this. And if I had to choose one book to kind of define my 2021, I think it would be this. I don't want to disappoint anybody because I know when I reveal it, people will be like,
okay, everybody loves that book. That's such a overhyped book on TikTok, whatever.
I just want you to know that I don't care, and I love this book. so much. The Love Hypothesis by Hazelwood. Yes, this is a kind of fan fiction of Kylo Ren and Rey, but not really, because they're not Kylo Ren and Rey, it's just the image of them. But it is a grumpy sunshine fake dating trope book about a PhD candidate and a professor, but it's not a student teacher, like it's not, who get into a whole fake dating situation because Olive, again, her name is Olive, this is my second Olive this year. Olive is in sort of a situation where she dated a guy who fell in love with her best friend, and her best friend is kind of like, okay, no, girl code, I can't date a guy you dated. But these two are obviously soulmates. So Olive kind of wants to convince her best friend that, hey, I'm not interested in this guy anymore. This guy's name is Jeremy. So she kind of wants to prove to her friend An, her best friend An, that she's not into Jeremy anymore, so that An and Jeremy can date. But An is a really good best friend and won't believe her. So Olive gets into a fake dating situation with a PhD professor. Not her PhD professor, but a PhD professor, Adam. The first chapter of the book, the prologue, that was one of the most, I don't even know how to describe it. That chapter just reeled me in, hook, line, and sinker. One of the most like interesting chapters, like first chapters I've ever read. I am a sucker for the fake dating trope, which is probably why I'm really biased with this book. I'm in love. And last but not the least, and I think this is kind of cheating because I finished this book the other day. This is a very, very, very old favorite, and I'm kind of mad that I didn't jump on this train before. Like, I'm so late to the whole game. And it's a series, and I just finished the first book, and I heard that it gets better. Like, it gets even better. Like, the first book is the least of all, like, the books in the series. But I already love the first book, so who knows what will happen to me. I'll probably have a seizure by the time I finish the whole series. Because Cinder by Marissa Meyer. Don't act surprised. Don't try. Because I know you've probably read this and I'm just really late in the whole Cinder game. This is an amazing concept. The whole retelling, so if you don't know, if you're like me, this is part of the Lunar Chronicles trilogy. This is a fairy tale retelling of Cinderella. In this book, Cinder is a cyborg, and in the whole ball situation where Cinderella attends the ball, dances with the prince, runs off at 12 midnight and leaves her shoe on the staircase, Cinder, here in this book, leaves her entire foot because she is a cyborg and she has a mechanical foot. I can't deal. The concept, the setting is very futuristic. It's kind of dystopian-ish. The world has gone through 4 world wars. Cinder is a cyborg in New Beijing. So Cinder is set in New Beijing. What I love about Marissa Meyer's concept of this is she really followed the setting of the original fairy tales. So the Cinderella was actually kind of originally, it was a Chinese story. So she chose to stick with Cinder in New Beijing. The next book, Scarlet, which I am currently reading. Sorry, I just want to tell you, I was getting my hair done and I was reading this book and my hairstylist was like, is this why you want to change your hair to red orange? And I was like, I didn't even notice. I've always wanted to have red hair, but I didn't even notice Scarlet's hair in the book. Scarlet is a retelling of the Little Red Riding Hood. So this is book 2, but everything is connected. Like, it's a whole story that's connected. Each book is a retelling of a fairy tale story. So we have Cinderella, the Little Red Riding Hood. The third book, Cress, is about Rapunzel, and the fourth book, Winter, is about Snow White. I really love this book. The setting, the world building, the imagination that was put into this concept, amazing, beautiful, wonderful. Hello, it's like I've stopped filming, but then I realized that I forgot to mention 2 very, very, very important books. So I'm gonna put it here in the last part. I forgot to mention 6 of Crows and Crooked Kingdom. Mostly because the books aren't with me, they're with my cousin. I lent them. Oh my god, I can't. Okay, 6 of Crows and Crooked Kingdom. We have 12 books in total. This is 11 and 12. These 2 books were the the highlight of my 2021. They are what got me back into reading. If you don't know what Six of Crows is about, it's a fantasy set in a really like fictional world of Ketterdam. Basically, we follow 6 kind of criminals or misfits who go on a heist to retrieve someone very, very, very important that would save the lives of the Grisha. So this is part of the Grishaverse. Six of Crows is by Leigh Bardugo, who also wrote Shadow and Bone. If you haven't watched Shadow and Bone from Netflix, this is where it was based off of, Six of Crows and Shadow and Bone. So Shadow and Bone is a trilogy, and Six of Crows, it's a duology after the Shadow and Bone trilogy. But I personally love Six of Crows more, and it is the highlight of my 2021. It is the reason that I am here in this channel. It's the first book related video I've ever uploaded. These two are like, this is still the best duology I've read this year. The Crows have a special place in my heart, so. Oh my gosh, we're done. We're done. We're done. We're done with 2021. I love 2021. Honestly, there were so many things that happened, so many character developments that occurred. But I am grateful because I have this, I have books, I have everybody watching this. And again, I'm so grateful for you. I'm so happy that you are here with me. I'm so happy that you have encouraged me to read again and have inspired me and continue to be my friend. Thank you so much for swimming by my channel, guys. Happy New Year. Thank you for always fighting, for being strong, for feeling, for loving, for caring, for supporting. And I am always here for you. I'm always praying for you. I love you so much. I can't express how grateful I am. Can't express it enough. But thank you. Again, thank you so much for swimming by my channel. Please subscribe if you haven't yet. Like this video if you do. Happy New Year. Good afternoon. Good night. Good morning. Bye, guys. Mwah!